Thank you for joining Moneycontrol, Tanvi. We have Tanvi Ratna with us, who is the CEO of Policy 4.0, which is India's leading emerging technology think tank. Tanvi, thank you for being with us, and look forward to hearing a lot about crypto from you in the next few minutes.
Thanks, Rahul. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So Tanvi, as you know, the winter session of Parliament is upon us, probably in the next week, and the crypto bill is going to be tabled. And there's a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt around crypto, and there's been a lot of panic selling in the last day or two. A lot of investors in India are young college students, people who've invested, perhaps 1,000, 2,000 rupees as well. And we have about 15 to 20 odd million. That's about 1.5 to 2 crores. I think that's the number going around. We have, those crypto investors, which is one of the largest adoption rates in the world. What should the retail investor do? Because right now they're just panic selling.
Yes, I think that is the million-dollar question. I mean, what is actually going to happen and how do you plan for it? So I think the most important thing to understand is that the bill draft is not ready yet, right? And it's not something that has even reached the parliament. When you basically put something on the agenda, you're basically just moving a file from the ministry to the parliamentary affairs ministry, right? And you only state the title of the bill, but the actual draft of the bill is not yet ready, right? And I think, when, as I've already sort of put out even a thread on it, I mean, there are a couple of things which the government has been fairly consistent in its description on, right? So private cryptocurrencies, this is something that was defined in the 2019 report as well, and we can talk more about that later in your show. And I think as far as the if there is any action taken, I mean, they've also been clear before that there will be an amnesty period, and I think the panic selling is probably it's quite understandable, but it is maybe not called for. I think there's also been enough signals, and I think the Prime Minister in his meeting also confirmed that it will be a sort of more forward-looking approach, right? And I think there is, I would say that it's not all set in stone yet, and so maybe people are getting worried a bit prematurely.
Okay, so you mentioned something about private coins. Now, are you talking about privacy coins like Monero and Dash, which kind of mask, who's buying it, who's selling it? Or are you talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum as well, and some of these other cryptos?
Yeah, I think this is quite an interesting narrative that I think has started since yesterday. So in the government's definition, I think this was laid out very clearly in the 2019 bill draft as well, that any non-sovereign currency is treated as a private currency, right? And there were some people talking about how Bitcoin and Ethereum have public ledgers, whereas others don't, which is also very strange, right? Because almost every crypto has a public ledger. So I think it has more to do with non-sovereign currencies. But I think the interesting part in the bill text, just the one paragraph that we've had, and everyone is talking at length about this one paragraph since yesterday, is the one on exemptions, right? What are the exemptions? And I think there is see, you have some precedent that, for example, if you take the US, right, there is already Ethereum is classified as a commodity, right? It's viewed to be sufficiently decentralized, and so is Bitcoin, right? So there could be some exemptions around that. I mean, at least from the last few discussions that we were in, even with the government. I mean,
So basically, Bitcoin and Ethereum, you're fairly safe, but if you're investing in your Shiba Inus and Safe Moons of the world, which are, it's kind of like the wild, wild west. That's cause for concern, and rightly so, because that's where people can lose their shirt if they're not careful.
Yeah, and I won't be very certain in either direction right now, because as per the government's earlier definitions, private cryptocurrency has been anything non-sovereign, right? But the real thing to look out for is the exceptions. Like, what are the exemptions? from this.
What is the most likely scenario in your opinion?
See, in most scenarios, the past will tell you the present, right? And I think the concern around this has really been around the trading frenzy and the sort of as the Prime Minister called it, misleading youth as well, right? So I think if you're seeing strong curbs, it's very likely that those will definitely be on trading activity, right? They will definitely be in terms of speculative trading and the kind of the huge volumes that we've seen sort of move into it. So I think definitely on that front you are likely to see strong action. I don't think there's any doubt of that, because when something is reached at the level of the Prime Minister, then definitely there is that is the viewpoint, right, that is being held in the government.
So just for the viewers, a lot of this activity, this trading frenzy, is happening on centralized exchanges like your CoinTCX, CoZerex, CoinSwitch, Uber. We see ads, we've been seeing ads of these three brands for the last couple of months during cricket games. Now, those are centralized exchanges, but then we also have DeFi, which is decentralized finance, which is a whole different animal altogether. Yep. How does one regulate DeFi where you don't have your KYC AML, whereas the centralized exchanges do? And does that mean the centralized exchanges will perhaps come under the purview of SEBI in order to regulate this sector?
Yeah, I think that's another great question. I think like the regulation of DeFi has been the global sort of hot topic, right, when it comes to the policy and regulatory circle around crypto. And I think many governments are looking into this. I think from our perspective, we don't have the same kind of I would say legacy in terms of like securities laws, commodities laws, and we have a pretty well-defined structure under the SEBI, but it doesn't cover as many asset types as does US financial regulation or the ones in Europe or other countries, right? So it's not just a legal solution that will work in India for DeFi, right? And from our perspective, the real risk that the RBI is also concerned about is decentralized activity, right? It is DeFi. And I think that's where our approach comes in, because the one unifying theme for all crypto is it doesn't matter if it's DeFi or it's NFT or if it's $1 million or $10, it is just a key pair, right? It is just a public and private key, and all operations you do with it, whether it's in a decentralized setup or it's in a centralized setup, you're basically signing transactions through your private key. You are having ownership of your private key, and that's fundamentally all there is to it. So when you look at the debate from that perspective, all you really need to do is add some KYC to the wallet level, and whatever kind of checks or regulatory compliance or whatever has to come can easily be fit in at the wallet level. So it's pretty seamless both for users and for crypto businesses, because then they just have to onboard this India wallet, right? Just like you have MetaMask integrated into Uniswap, you just have India wallet integrated into Uniswap, right? Then it doesn't matter what people do, right? At least you have created a place from where people can work in a compliant way, right? And then it gives government this visibility, which right now they don't even have an idea of the numbers, right? So, I mean, that's really not a good place for a regulator to be in.
What are some of the challenges that India faces in particular? I know we keep looking out west to the US, but the US has the US dollar, which is the world's reserve currency. We don't. So what are some of the challenges that developing nations, and also from a geopolitical perspective where we are, what are some of the challenges that we in India face that's unique to India as far as crypto is concerned?
I think one of the biggest ones is very much on the monetary side, right? So you have this risk of capital controls, which you don't have in most developed countries, right? There's around 17 countries, I think, which have like freely convertible currencies. So you have the US, you have Europe, you have Singapore, you have Hong Kong, all these regions that have progressive crypto frameworks. They're not grappling with any kind of, exchange rate risk or, those kind of issues, which monetarily are big concerns for India, right? So I think the biggest challenge has been that there's been no framework really apart from bans, right, to manage monetary risk. And I think that's actually the starting point of us even looking at a solution like this, was just this, like, how do you actually, you have to add jurisdiction to the activity, right? So for that, you have to be able to segregate what is Indian activity versus like cross-border activity, right?
Right.
And then for you to even have any alerts or any checks on it, or any kind of, like, let's say in a wallet, if I transfer to an Indian KYC wallet, it's a free transfer, right? But if I transfer to a non-KYC wallet, it's the simple way to then identify what's a cross-border transfer, right? And that can just take you through a gateway where you plug in your purpose code or whatever is required under FEMA, right? You just plug that in or you automate it, and the transactions can go through, right? I mean, and you have managed compliance and you manage your checks, and you've given people also an easy way to do it, right? And you can't just put the onus on businesses, because businesses don't control all the actors here, they don't control everything, but it's really, this is an individual's game, this whole industry. And so we feel the right level of regulation is at the individual level. So it should be an individual's responsibility to get this verified wallet set up, and then they can work the way they do.
Thank you so much, Tanvi, for coming on our show. And it's been very insightful. And we look forward to having you back again discussing all things crypto. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Rahul.